We are good to go, sir.
All right, let's call over the February 26th meeting of the Town of Manlius Police Committee. I'll ask member Chef to lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So first up on the agenda is approval of the December 18th, 2024 minutes. Has everyone present been able to review them and have a comment?
Yes, I move that we accept the minutes.
I'll make this second.
All in favor? All right. All right. So number 4, the main item on our agenda today is at the request of the town and this committee, we wanted to have just a little brief sort of review of the Retail Crime Prevention Task Force that ran through the holiday period at Target Center, the Rickford Center, and Chief Casalia has brought it before us.
Thank you. I can also send that to everyone on the computer. I just wanted you to have a little something in your hands today to take away from. As you know, when I first came here, I started the Chief's Business Advisory Committee. I wanted to connect with our business community and start having some conversations as to what they were seeing as some of their needs when it came to expectations of service from their police department. That started with some classes and some education components, and one of the things that also led to was really just a free exchange of information, which I was hoping for, help direct your own police department. And one of the areas in which that you would constantly get information on is some of the business community, retail business community, talking about how they were being affected in centrally, specifically, over at Town Center. 2 of our members also that work the afternoon shift were seeing that as they were responding to calls. And we have within our organization an opportunity called member suggestions, where members can then, identify problems in our community and work at your operational level and providing suggestions on how to solve some of those things. Those 2 members started working on what could we do as an organization to start dealing with some of the intricacies and the problems that they were seeing there specifically. They brought that forward their supervisor worked with them on it, and it was also included Lieutenant Snyder, and thus the RCTF was born. This was something in which, like I said, came from the ground level of the organization, massaged through very close eyes and procedurally looking at what our intent to accomplish is, and how we were going to do that. Our focus is and continues to be deterrence. So that's why we also had a very strong social media piece. I'd much rather deter than arrest. We're not going to arrest our way out of these problems. One of the things I think was important was when we started weighing where we were going in 2024 early on, we were on target to be about 120 reported larcenies. Reported, that's very different because many of the stores there do not necessarily engage with law enforcement because it's their company policy. They'll take the loss, they'll consider it acceptable. But we had stores in that area that had losses several $1 million. So once they had made that very clear to us, we started looking at how can we provide education, how can we provide a deterrence factor and a presence. And that's what we did. I think you'll see some of the background bullet points. I don't want to have to go. I don't want to take your time to go over all of it. But I think what you'll see is at the end of it, like, what are the results? We had 17 documented larcenies when our RCTF was done. and one documented trespass. 23 subjects arrested on 14 to 16 prosecutable incidents. 2 investigations that were with no arrest and are both non-shoplifting complaints, and 2 investigations where we were able to work with the parents and the victims to identify other ways in which to solve this without arrest. 100% of all the shoplifting crimes you see were closed by arrest. What was interesting was 25 total notices of trespass were issued. We're hoping that component, it really leads towards future success. What we found it on the first day that we were in motion, was groups of people working together to steal items and then with the intent to resell. So 22 out of 23 arrested ended up not residing in the town of Manlius. I thought that was interesting. 5 from out of the county. And then 7 out of 13, so 54% of the shoplifting incidents that we make by arrest involve groups of 2 or more people. Multiple arrests involved the recovery of illegal drugs. We had 1 arrest with a loaded handgun magazine and ammunition from a convicted felon. We were able to locate the guns, but he was also in the wing for a while, and we didn't end up finding him until we were able to corner him in the bathroom of a restaurant. Approximately just under $11,000 of merchandise was stolen but recovered, mostly specialty items of resale value. Sports team apparel, cosmetics, jewelry, ring cameras, Stanley mugs, miscellaneous clothing. I also, what we did when we went through this process was afterwards, we went back down and solicited input from the stores. And we had a little QR code, and we said, please just join us, talk to us a little bit. I think some of the pieces on the back will kind of give you an idea that we really received overwhelming response from our partners in the business community there. We included some of the comments. We did have one issue or problem with that. I think that we did some forward thinking. We did a lot of refresh training. We ensured that our people received additional training on a whole number of things in which that were important to an operation like this. We never utilized plainclothes police officers without having a uniform component present there. Our total investment, and I think that's been something in which I've tried to push out regularly, but I still see that there's a lot of misinformation. Our total investment was $204 for new holsters. We went and looked at some of the off-duty carry holsters that we had, and they just weren't what we needed for retention purposes. Retention is ensuring that those holsters could withstand an attempt to be dislodged from an officer during a situation that could become physical. So outside of that, we did not field members on overtime. We didn't field members other than the times that we had staffing in order to do this. Our results were clear to us that it was worthwhile, it worked well, and we will be sporadic at when we will reintroduce these things when needed, and we'll just be very focused on when those times may be. Some of those suggestions were pretty interesting from the community itself, but we wouldn't have thought that, hey, can you make sure that you folks are working like the weeks rolling up to school starting? There's certain benchmarks in the retail community that we didn't realize that they have a significant increase in problems. So we're considering all those things in the future.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm glad you highlighted, like, without getting into specifics of how it's implemented. It's just important to know that it wasn't an imposition on the department or personnel or costs.
Not at all.
Really just strategic use of resources as they exist.
Absolutely.
With a little bit of information and knowledge from the business council, know where and how to target. Thank you for this, and I'm sure Greg had some input here too.
Right.
You did a very nice job, and lots to be said about, the members that say, hey, we see a problem. How can we assist in solving it?
In terms of the deterrent effect, so you mentioned a figure of like a couple $1 million that would have been previous loss,
Well, it had, the previous year, just in one store,
just for Christmas?
just in one store for an annual, for one of the stores.
Oh, a whole lot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was over 2 million for just one store. So, some stores keep a handle on it really well, some stores don't. So.
and they would have had to observe this in order to call you in, right?
So, yeah, we also were there. We were there being a part of kind of that community and looking in part of it. So going into stores, working with their people, we came up with a communication platform where we connected all of the stores and us, because there were times in which that, there's a delay when you call 911. We didn't have that delay. They were able to communicate directly with us through an online platform where our members were right there and able to respond immediately, and then be able to take kind of the onus off of them by watching, being a part of it, and then being able to, to make the approach when it was appropriate and safe to use.
Sounds like you developed a great model.
It is. I thought it's it's a very interesting story. We went down this line because we needed it, and then we found all of a sudden that New York State was doing the same thing in the town of New Lynn. So I love being copied, right? So it was very similar in that form and function, but we moved forward with it because it was something that our community was asking us.
Year-to-year analysis just speaks for itself.
Yeah.
In terms of the holiday, that's how a specific time period and kudos for putting it together like this, because it really speaks for itself.
I don't need to work with them.
Yes, and I built that piece off of what we consider to be a very thorough internal analysis that has a specific number of operational and strategic things that we do on the ground floor that we put out. But that is designed so we could bring back to respective boards to have discussions.
That's great. Thank you.
Any questions from the committee members or anything further on retail?
No, because we heard about it and now we had
Yeah,
followed along and now we can see the results and, it's really wonderful.
it probably need not be said, but the assumption is this will continue and to the next year.
Yeah, and I think we'll be strategic about it. When are maybe we seeing the impacts? When do we feel that, when are we getting the input from our partners that are saying we're starting to see some things that concern us? We stay very close with them. So.
All right, well, it takes us to agenda number 5, and you're on the hook again, sir.
Well, thank you. Giving us our staff report. I hired a transfer candidate today, which I'm excited about. I think he's going to work out very well for us. That'll bring us to 39. We have one additional candidate that we're in the hiring process with, and she actually would need to go to the police academy. Another fantastic find, and lives in the town of Manlius also. So we're very excited about that. That would bring us to 40. Our funding for 25 is 42. And so we started off the selection process with approximately 90, and we ended up with one transfer out of the transfer category and then one out of the selection process. We had 6 going in to the final selections and only one transfer and one brand new recruit officer. I'd just like to thank Councilor Neshi for his assistance during that process. I called and asked if Mike would consider coming down and being a part of the selection process. his background in public safety, his background in labor law, his background across the board was a great help to us, and we really appreciated that. And hope maybe we can count on you in the future too.
Yeah, it was a great experience and I was happy to help. And
Thank you for doing
it. It's good people.
Yeah, and you brought a lot to the panel. I think we were very confident with our decisions of the two that we have right now. Great. Yeah. So the last thing we're waiting for right now is just the medical information to come back. We know we're ready to go. And we just have to get that and then we can give them the formal offers. So we're in a good place. We have one that's in the academy right now, and he's graduating as of March 28th. So leave it to us to send the brand new kid to the Watertown Police Academy in the middle of winter. But he's done very well. And I like him even more because no matter what the challenges were, you never heard of Pete. He figured it out, he overcame, he adapted, and he improvised. He's done very, very well. He will come back to us and start his 18-week FTO program right after that, March 28th. And then after the field training program, then he would return to graduate with his class around July 2nd. New York State has FTO field training as a part of the process to be certified. So that'll happen first, and I have great confidence he'll do well in it. We have 2 on disability leave from outside illnesses, and 1 member going on disability right now for about 6 weeks. And so we're right now with the movement and things, we're not in a bad place. There's always a little bit of a give and take, and we're doing that. We're very focused on the dollar we spend and what we get for it, and to ensure that we have what our community needs. I'll be attending the CALIA conference March 19th because we had our onsite in the fall. This is when I have to go in front of the commissioners, and then they will basically look at our 4-year review process to include our onsite results. And I will have to field any questions or concerns that they have. Then the committee will vote, and then I will know of that Saturday what our status is. I'm very confident, based on all of the information that I have, that will happen, but they make that final decision, and I will be there representing the organization. In other times, I would use this as a growth piece to invite others, to invite our liaison, and to invite our members. But unfortunately for us, the assigned committee conference for us is in California, and it's pretty expensive. So I decided as the boss that this one I would go on my own, get through it, get done, come back, and then we'll look to the future to try some things in the future. Hopefully be a little bit closer. We've had them in California before. We've had them as close as Boston where we can drive to. So I was hoping for something maybe a little bit more East Coast-ish, but fortunate was I did make an appeal to CALIA to allow us to go in November in Orlando, because it would have been a direct flight, and cost-wise and time-wise would have been better than to include some people, but they keep pretty regimented in their committees. So we were up for March, we're getting March. So we're excited about that opportunity. We recently sponsored some regional training at our headquarters. We did interview techniques for victims and witnesses and suspects. We did for 2 days, February 12th, 13th. We brought in an expert in that field. We're also scheduling another session in the near future. We had 23 police officers at our location, and it was top-notch training for 2 days, and we had 7 people in that training. And the reason I sponsored it is because I don't have to pay the $300 per person if you sponsor it. So we got top-notch training. I got 7 people in there, and other than just making sure they were there, Didn't cost me anything other than just making sure we had some
How
light
far, how far reach did it, well, how many, how far do people come from?
Oh, we had people from around the region, outside, inside the county, outside the county, city of Syracuse, city of Auburn, up north.
It's great.
It was really well. We had two of our members attended by the same instructor in Oswego about 8 months ago. When they came back and we talked to them, and when we send people for education, there's a debrief that occurs. And after that debrief, we decided let's kind of poke our nose into this a little bit because it was such an overwhelming success in their eyes, and they were at that kind of age and experience level where they're kind of right in the middle of where people are. So we felt that it would be a good product, and we were able to work with that instructor and bring it here. So I was very happy that it was here and our members enjoyed it. I had a friend of mine that I actually graduated high school with that came to the class, a very senior, very experienced criminal investigator from a very busy local organization. And he had said that it was a very good training. So that's a person that we know. I was happy to see about a meeting with our comptroller in regards to our Y25 approved budget total. Our comptroller identifies that number as $6,115,655. Our total expenses were $6,101,000 and change, and that led us to be under budget by $14,635. That number also allowed us to budget and front pay some things for 2025 that we needed. Still returning money back to the town. And I'm very pleased at the cooperation and the work that our team did, not only internal to our organization. Jeff Slater, Sharon Barkowskis, were phenomenal. But also that they worked very well with the comptroller. And they did a very nice job. I was very happy to see that. Budget is the priority. Perfectly well. It dictates what we will do, we won't. And we have like any organization, we go through those challenges. You're the ones having to pay the freight here. You understand it better. But I think that it worked out very, very well for the year. And 25, I believe, will work out even better. And I say that because I know that we're looking at new tools to bring real-time data to the table that will make our jobs a little bit easier to instantly focus and forecast where we are, what we should be doing, how we're kind of adjusting the sails, if you will, of our ship, so that we can meet the demands that our community has for us, but in a way in which that our taxpayers will say makes sense. End of 2024, our statistics, preliminary results. So as we are ending our year, we are not only getting started up with a lot of other things, we are taking a look at where we've been. And during that time, our monthly reports, much of that information will be in our annual report when that comes out. We're working on that now. That will reveal a whole number of different pieces. But just to kind of give you an idea, our 24 arrests were up, our 24 traffic stops were up, our total citations issued were up, our citations issued specific to moving vehicles were up, our reports written were up, our burglaries were down. And I was happy to see that kind of laid out very, very clearly. Our incidents, our police incidents were up, and you'll see that data as it comes out. But like we talk about what's kind of offsetting. So burglaries are down because our property checks are up. So we're looking at ways in which that we can go back to doing old-fashioned police work that put us in the areas that we have identified as maybe being vulnerable, and doing what we can do in those areas to be more focused and more aware. So we've got some pretty good, data, I will say, that will be coming back out at you. 23,612 incidents, police incidents in 23, 31,124 in 24. So that's an increase, not only in our activity, it's an increase in our dispatched activity, but also our activity that we're asking our police officers to do. And we're getting better at reporting this. Okay, so before we had systems where they would fill out like a document, and not everything reached into the collective numbers because they just didn't connect. Now what we've done is we've made an electronic log sheet that we can calculate what is the real activity of the organization, so that we're just a little bit better at understanding, what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what the costs of doing it. And that's been a part of, I think I talked to the committee before about searching out and ensuring that we have a very good handle. First, you have to establish, what are we doing? And then we have to ask ourselves, is what we're doing effective? Is it efficient? So we're asking those questions. So as we're grabbing more information and we're following these patterns, we're also looking at how we collect data in a monthly report, how we collect data in a quarterly report. What is the data through a system that is actually actual intelligence after it's quantified and qualified? What does that do for us? What are the things in which that we can use versus things that we need to step over and look at other things? So, the end of 24 continues to go on, but we're getting good data right now. 25, I believe everyone received the goals and objectives electronically a while back. I don't want to have to spend too much of your time on it, but again, goals and objectives are built from the operational level all the way up through. It serves as a way to keep us focused on some of the larger issues that we have. However, there are times in which we will identify a goal and we'll feel it's a priority, but as our community shifts or changes, that goal may just have to go on the shelf. And we'll be focusing on something else we didn't realize was there, or something else that came up. It does give us an opportunity to face these things at our sergeant's meetings, our staff meetings, look at what those goals are, and stay on track. Does anyone have any goals on what you saw? Our awards dinner. Yes, thank you. That's also a challenge to my supervisors and my commanders, that we have a lot to do and not a lot of time to get it done.
And is this linked to the data collection?
Yes.
So all the objectives will be measurable?
Yes. Yeah, very much so. We have to have that for us to even be able to say, how do we accomplish? When we build our goals and objectives, it's very much connected to what we saw the year before. Also, it's connected to what did we accomplish? Did it work? What didn't we accomplish that we should have? And what were the ramifications of not accomplishing those things? So some things get doubled down on because we didn't get that chance as we moved resources and made decisions during the year.
And is this goals and objectives, is this something that has been done in previous years?
We have done that as an organization since I can remember in the early 90s. Okay. It has changed, and I think it's become a little bit more detailed, and it's become at different times under different leadership a very central focused area of command staff meetings. And other times it was a document. This is more than a document for me. It helps kind of steer the ship. It allows all the members of the organization to have not only input, but to understand where we're going and what we're doing. The PBA Awards Dinner is April 5th at the Links at Erie Village. In fact, today, you'll see this at the awards dinner, but today I awarded Investigator Brianna Sparks with the 2024 Officer of the Year Award. So we're very excited to announce that she is the recipient been a fantastic member of the organization for so many reasons. I'll save all those reasons for when we meet on April 5th to listen to that. We also have Christy Casciano that's coming at the behest of the PDA and a number of other officers. We actually have 4 officers getting life-saving medals. We have an officer being acknowledged for a naloxone save. We have 4 officers being acknowledged for division commendations. And we have our officer of the year. And then the PBA will have their own awards. They're very gracious. This is their awards dinner, and they're very gracious to allow me and the organization to them present their awards. I also have a new award, Chief's Appreciation Award, and that I'm not telling anybody about, but that will be unveiled later. I think, you know, if you've seen some of our police officers, we've been pushing out a little bit about our 40 years of service. There'll be a theme of that at the awards dinner. You'll see that my shield that I wear today is our commemorative shield that officers were allowed to purchase, individually purchase if they wanted to. I believe every single one did on their own. We can wear them for 2025 and then they get retired. So they won't be worn or built again. We also connected with our retirees. If you retired, you were given an opportunity to buy yourself one. But it would say retiree on it. They could keep that. If you get a chance to see the anniversary decals on our cars, they're all in that front quarter panel. It has Fayetteville Police, Manlius Police, Manoa Police patches from the prior to the consolidation with the town of Manlius patch in the center in 40 years of service. And that's what I have for you. And I'm ready for you. Any questions that you may have for me?
I have one. Did the dispatch center just renew its CALIA accreditation as well?
Yeah,
That's good for us because we're graded on our dispatch as they're our partners, right?
it's excellent for us because that goes across all lines, police, fire, and EMS. And as a CALIA agency themselves, I don't have to individually comply with all those communication standards. So it is also good for us in so many different ways. Yes, and they're actually receiving their award in California.
Yeah.
The Syracuse Police Department is receiving their first ever CALIA award on a tier 1. So there's a tier 1 with like 180 something standards. We're a tier 2, 487 standards. But that tier 1, they're receiving their first accreditation. I believe it's their first one, and they're receiving it also. So there's 3 Central New York organizations going in.
Awesome. Any other questions? Thank you so much.
I have one more thing. I was very honored to be asked to be at the Pizza with the Mayor at Trappers 2. So
Lights out, I heard.
So I got there, I think that was a message from above, because I don't think I was 10 minutes in there and the power went out and everybody left. And my wife looked at me and said, I think it's time for you to retire. But it was very nice to be there. And we actually had about 7 or 8 people that stuck around with a flashlight at the center of the table, and we talked about anything they wanted to talk about.
Okay, item 6, meeting dates for 2025. They have not changed from what was originally scheduled as they appear on this agenda here today. So I guess just as a formal this board to accept that these are going to be the dates.
Yeah, I just need a motion.
Motion.
A second.
Sorry, which one do you make a motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay.
That did come out.
All right, so the meetings for the committee will be April 23rd, June 25th, August 27th, October 22nd, and December 17th, all at 5 p.m. in this room here in Town Hall. All right, and on to item number 7. So we need to discuss the election of a chair of this committee as part of our routine business. This procedure is what, I believe what we followed last time. Former Clerk Weber came up in discussion with this committee, his steps in this process. What we did establish is that what month's meeting shall we have the annual election? I propose the April meeting. Is that sufficient time for the villages to appoint their representatives to?
We can have this to add that in there and then we are thinking going forward, April.
Page 2, yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
So other than that, I mean, this is the procedure we've already followed. Nothing has deviated or changed from this, other than we're gonna assign the date to the April 23rd meeting. We're good with that. A motion to approve the procedures for chair duty and election process.
So moved.
Sorry. All in favor? Aye. Beautiful. We have a process. All right, with that, any other business before the committee today? Or any issues or concerns? No, I had a feeling it would be a brief one. All right, with that, take a motion to adjourn. Take a motion.
I'll second.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.